So this is a Ravensburger 1,000 piece called Beautiful Islands. So my funny story with this puzzle was that I thought this puzzle was going to be quite a bit easier than it actually was. And so I actually did this puzzle as the first puzzle for a new team. So a team that hadn't puzzled together before, where quite a few of the members actually hadn't competitively puzzled at all. I was like, oh, I think this one should be pretty easy. It's a pretty image. It should be a lot of fun. It was not. I think I almost had my team quit out of hatred, and I learned an important lesson about picking the right puzzle. So you can see the image is basically a dock along a beach, water, sky, some palm trees. So very pretty, but not easy. So I actually decided to do the border first. So I learned from that team's practice that this puzzle is deceptive. It's much harder to do the water, it's much harder to do the bridge, things like that than I had expected. And so what I did was try to do a lot of the border first, and then build out from the border to sort of help frame out the puzzle. One thing I should have thought about doing is flipped more of the pieces. I have really not done a great job flipping. I was kind of impatient to sort of get building. So you can see basically I'm doing the border as I go and kind of pushing out and going, there's this much space. So now I've sort of said, okay, well, there seems to be this dock. It's a very long dock along the bottom, but it's a long, skinny dock. And so that is a great thing to think about shape sorting and building. I didn't quite do that because I didn't quite get to the shape sorting part. So now I am I'm kind of bouncing around a lot in this puzzle. I was not doing a great job actually sort of speeding up and doing it well for time. But I keep kind of coming back to this dock, and you can see all those sort of dock-ish pieces that are sitting where the dock is. The dock is a perfect example of a thing that maybe I should have just shape sorted and done it and gotten it done and out of the way. I didn't do that. It was a ton of fun to take some new competitors to nationals with me and to sort of work with a team I had worked with before. It is really interesting how you get to know people and how you work with people actually over time and how it changes. So like I went with people I actually worked with. We knew each other very well. We knew each other's work styles. And because of that, we actually puzzled well together because there's a certain amount of like, you have to almost check your ego at the door. And so it's very helpful to have people where they know how to tell you, I know you're really good at a lot of things, but like this sky is not your thing right now. Or I don't think we should be doing this, or maybe we should try this instead. And, I think that's one of the really interesting things to me is how much of a difference those sort of interpersonal relationships make in puzzling. And how well the team did despite being new at puzzling because of those interpersonal relationships. So now I've finished the dock and the water, and now I'm moving on to, there is a very large sky, and there are a very lot of palm trees on the left. So unfortunately, this was a sunset, but it was a sunset with clouds, so the gradient was not super apparent, which made it much harder to actually work with. When there's a clear gradient in the sky, I find puzzles like this super fast. this was not super fast. Quick snack break. You can tell that this is not a very serious puzzle by the fact that I am taking snack breaks. So I've now actually pulled the puzzle closer towards me to help work. And this would have been a good time, I think, actually just to shape sort. This palm tree really was not very visible. It was much harder to see and work with than I expected. There at least were pieces of the palm tree that were against the sky versus against sort of more building-y things in the background, which did help kind of separating that out into two chunks. So now just kind of racing to fill in those last parts of the palm tree. Here we are. Come on, palm tree. Perfect.